When I first started trading, I wasn't chasing money. I was chasing certainty. I wanted a system that would never fail, a strategy that would protect me from feeling stupid, from being wrong. Every loss felt personal, like the market was testing my intelligence. So I kept changing: new strategy, new hope. Old strategy, new excuse. I told myself I was learning, but deep down I was avoiding one thing: commitment. There was a moment that changed everything. I remember sitting alone late at night, staring at a chart that looked exactly like the charts I'd been staring at for years. Same candles, same movement, different strategy again, and I realized something painful. The market hadn't changed. I was the variable. That night, I made a decision that felt boring but honest. I chose one trading strategy: simple rules. Nothing impressive. And I promised myself I would stick to it long enough to fail properly, not quit emotionally. The first losses hurt more than before. Because now I couldn't run. I couldn't say, the strategy is bad. I had to ask, did I follow it? Most of the time, the answer was no. That's when the real work began. I learned that discipline is not confidence. Discipline is showing up even when confidence is gone. Some days I took trades with doubt in my chest and fear in my hands. But I followed the plan. Slowly, patterns appeared. Not just in price, but in my behavior. I saw how impatience cost me more than bad entries. How revenge trading destroyed weeks of progress in one afternoon. How the urge to be right was more expensive than being wrong. Sticking to one strategy forced me to grow up as a trader. It taught me patience. It taught me humility. It taught me that consistency comes from repetition, not intelligence. Over time, the strategy stopped feeling like rules and started feeling like instinct. I wasn't guessing anymore, I was executing. Win or lose, I slept better. Because I knew I had respected my process. Here's the truth most people don't want to hear. One strategy is enough to make money. But only if you become the kind of person who can follow it. The market doesn't reward creativity under pressure. It rewards stability. And stability is built by staying when quitting feels easier. So if you're tired of starting over, stop searching outside. Build one trading strategy. Learn it deeply. Respect it. Stick to it when it disappoints you. Stick to it when it bores you. Stick to it when your emotions beg you to abandon it. Let me take you back to the very beginning of my trading journey. I was young, eager, and hungry for success. I believed trading was a game of cleverness, that if I could just find the right combination of indicators, patterns, and tips from gurus, I could beat the market. I wanted it all: the excitement, the profits, the thrill of outsmarting, the charts. And for a while, I thought I was on the right track. I remember sitting in front of my screen for hours, eyes glued to charts that seemed alive, moving and pulsing with endless possibilities. One day I was fascinated by moving averages. They seemed like the answer to all my questions. I plotted them in every configuration I could find: 50-day, 100-day, 200-day. I followed every crossover like it was a secret code. But as soon as I lost a trade, I abandoned them. I told myself, maybe this isn't the right system, I need something better. Next came candlestick patterns. I devoured every book, every tutorial, every YouTube video. Engulfing patterns, doji hammers, shooting stars, I learned them all. I thought, this will give me the edge I need. But once again, after a few losses, I doubted myself. I felt frustrated. I questioned the market, the patterns, and even my own judgment. The excitement I felt at the beginning turned into stress, confusion, and desperation. Then I discovered RSI, MACD, Fibonacci retracements, Bollinger Bands. The list seemed endless. Each time I believed I had found the Holy Grail. But each time my results disappointed me. I was chasing every new idea, trying to find the magic combination that would guarantee success. I would test one strategy for a few days, maybe a week, and then move on when it failed to produce instant results. Looking back, it's almost funny, but at the time it was devastating. I was bleeding money, I was losing confidence, and I was getting trapped in a cycle of hope and despair. I didn't understand that trading isn't about chasing every idea. Trading is about focus, discipline, and repetition. The market doesn't care what you think is clever. It doesn't reward indecision or impulsive actions. It punishes them. One night, after yet another losing streak, I sat alone in my room, staring at my screen. I felt defeated. I had almost convinced myself that trading wasn't for me. But then something clicked. I realized that the problem wasn't the strategies themselves. The problem was me. I was trying to learn 10 strategies at once, chasing the next hot tip, and abandoning every plan the moment it didn't produce instant results. I had no patience, no focus, no commitment. That was my failure, not the market's. It took a long time, but I finally understood a simple truth: mastering one strategy is far more powerful than trying to master 10. One strategy, executed consistently, with discipline and patience, will produce better results than 10 strategies executed half-heartedly. This realization changed everything. I decided to do something radical. I chose one strategy, a simple, straightforward approach I could understand completely. I wrote down the rules. I studied the charts. I tested it over and over. And most importantly, I committed to it fully. No matter what happened, I would stick to this one approach. I promised myself that I would not switch, not chase new indicators, not abandon my plan at the first sign of loss. The first few weeks were brutal. I still lost trades, sometimes several in a row. My emotions screamed at me. Fear whispered, "This isn't working." Switch now. Greed tempted me to chase the next shiny opportunity. Doubt told me I had chosen the wrong path. But every time I felt that pull, I reminded myself of one thing. Success comes from consistency, not from chasing perfection. I executed my strategy anyway. I followed the rules. I learned to see losses as lessons, not failures. And slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, something changed. My results started to stabilize. My confidence grew not because I was suddenly right all the time, but because I knew that my strategy had an edge, and if followed consistently, it would work over time. I began to see patterns in the market I hadn't noticed before. The charts stopped being overwhelming and chaotic. They started making sense. I stopped overtrading. I stopped panicking. I stopped letting emotions dictate my actions. I want you to understand the power of this realization. Most traders never reach this point. Most traders keep jumping from one system to another, chasing instant results, believing that the next idea will finally solve all their problems. But in reality, the market doesn't reward luck or cleverness. It rewards discipline, focus, and patience. The traders who succeed are the ones who master one strategy, refine it, and trust it. Let me give you an example. Imagine a soldier in battle. He doesn't constantly change his weapon mid-fight. He trains with one weapon until he knows it perfectly. He understands its weight, its balance, its reach, and when the chaos of battle comes, he doesn't hesitate. He trusts his training, his weapon, and his instincts. That's exactly how trading works. Your strategy is your weapon. You must train it, understand it, and trust it, even when the market screams, even when emotions beg you to run. There's another lesson hidden here: patience. When I first committed to my strategy, I wanted instant results. I wanted to see my account grow overnight. But that's not how trading works. It's a long game. The small, consistent wins compound over time into real, measurable success. Sticking to one strategy teaches patience in a way nothing else can. You learn to see the bigger picture. You learn to value process over immediate gratification. You learn that success is not a single trade but a series of disciplined, intelligent decisions repeated over time. I also want to talk about fear. Fear is a trader's worst enemy. When I first started, fear of loss, fear of missing out, fear of being wrong, it drove every decision. But when I committed to one strategy, something incredible happened. Fear lost its power. I had a plan. I had rules. I had a system. And when fear tried to push me off track, I reminded myself of my commitment. I reminded myself that losing trades were part of the journey, not the end of it. That mindset shift was more valuable than any indicator or pattern. I could tell you hundreds of stories about nights spent analyzing charts, about the anxiety of watching a trade go against me, about the temptation to abandon my plan for something better. But the truth is, all those moments led to one lesson: discipline beats emotion. Consistency beats cleverness. One strategy, executed well, beats 10 strategies executed poorly. I want you to take this lesson to heart. If you're a trader struggling to find your path, stop chasing every new idea. Stop believing that the next indicator, the next guru, or the next trend will solve everything. The solution isn't external, it's within you. Find a strategy that resonates with you, study it, refine it, and stick to it. Commit to it fully, emotionally and mentally. And when you do, you'll see the transformation. Because here's the reality: markets are unpredictable. They will test you. They will punish mistakes. But if you have a strategy you trust, if you execute it consistently, if you remain disciplined, the market becomes your partner, not your enemy. You'll stop feeling lost. You'll stop reacting emotionally. You'll start making intelligent decisions. And over time, those decisions will compound into real, sustainable success. So, I leave you with this: don't chase every idea. Don't search for the perfect system. Build one strategy, understand it, commit to it, and execute it consistently. That is the foundation of real trading success. That is how ordinary traders transform into masters of their craft. That is how you take control of your financial destiny. Remember, it's not the system that makes the trader, it's the discipline, focus, and patience to see one strategy through, no matter what the market throws at you. If you embrace this, everything changes. And that, my friends, is where your journey truly begins. Success in trading doesn't come from brilliance, luck, or even intelligence. It comes from unwavering commitment and consistent execution. I want to start with a story from my own experience. After I realized the damage caused by hopping between strategies, I decided to build a single trading system, a method I understood completely. I wrote down every rule. I studied the charts. I practiced endlessly on demo accounts. I promised myself, with every ounce of conviction I had, that I would stick to this system no matter what. The first week was both terrifying and exhilarating. On Monday, I followed my plan to the letter. I executed my trades exactly as my rules dictated. By Wednesday, I lost 3 trades in a row. My stomach churned. Doubt crept in like a shadow in the night. Maybe the system isn't working. Maybe I need something else. But I remembered the promise I made to myself commit no matter what. So, I stuck with it. Thursday came and I won a trade. Just one, but it felt monumental. I realized something crucial. It wasn't about one trade or one day. It was about the process, the pattern, the discipline. My commitment to consistency was slowly beginning to show its power. That week I finished slightly down overall, but something inside me had shifted. I could feel the difference between a trader who panics after losses and a trader who trusts their plan. By the second week, the market started to feel less like a chaotic storm and more like a puzzle I could solve. My strategy wasn't perfect, no strategy ever is, but my consistency allowed me to make sense of the chaos. I noticed patterns I had missed before. I recognized setups more clearly, and most importantly, I started building confidence, not the overconfident kind that makes reckless decisions, but the grounded, calm confidence that comes from knowing you have a plan and trusting it. Commitment in trading is like a muscle. At first, it's weak, it shakes, it struggles under pressure. But the more you practice it, the stronger it becomes. You learn to resist the temptation to chase the next hot idea. You learn to ignore the voices in your head that scream, "This isn't working. Switch now." You learn to see losses not as failures, but as lessons. And over time, the muscle of commitment grows so strong that fear and doubt have no power over you. I want to emphasize the emotional side of this. Commitment is not just about following rules, it's about emotionally investing in your plan. It's about trusting your own judgment. Even when the market feels like it's mocking you, there were days when my heart raced as a trade went against me. There were nights when I couldn't sleep, replaying decisions over and over in my mind. But each time I executed my plan, even when it was uncomfortable, I strengthened my discipline and reinforced my trust in the process. Consistency is the other side of the coin. Commitment without consistency is empty. You might commit one day, but if you abandon your plan the next, your discipline is meaningless. I quickly learned that consistency compounds in ways that feel almost magical. Small wins repeated day after day become significant. Small mistakes, if repeated, become disasters. That's why every action matters. Every trade matters. Every decision executed according to your rules builds your foundation for long-term success. I remember a particular period early in my journey when the market was extremely volatile. Other traders were panicking, abandoning their systems, chasing rumors, and complaining about unfair conditions. I stuck to my plan. I followed my rules meticulously. My account grew slowly, steadily, and quietly. Meanwhile, others experienced dramatic swings, celebrating occasional wins but ultimately giving up after catastrophic losses. The contrast was striking. My consistency didn't give me instant excitement, but it gave me stability, clarity, and confidence. Let's talk about mindset again, because it's inseparable from commitment and consistency. Your mind is like the captain of your trading ship. If the captain is indecisive, emotional, or impatient, the ship will drift into chaos. Commitment trains your mind to stay focused. Consistency trains your mind to trust process over outcome. And together, they allow you to weather storms that would destroy most traders. Now, I want you to visualize this. Imagine walking on a long, narrow path up a mountain. You can see the peak in the distance, but the path is treacherous. Rocks shift, winds howl, and you stumble repeatedly. If you try to leap from one path to another every time the wind blows, you'll fall. But if you commit to one path, step carefully, and keep moving forward consistently, eventually you reach the summit. That mountain is the market. Your path is your strategy. Your steps are your trades executed with commitment and consistency. I can't overstate how emotional this journey is. There were times I wanted to quit. There were moments when every trade seemed like a battle between hope and fear. I cried, I cursed, I questioned myself endlessly. But through every emotional storm, my commitment held me steady. Every time I executed my plan without hesitation, I reinforced the lesson that consistency is the secret ingredient most traders ignore. Another critical aspect is self-trust. Commitment builds trust in yourself. Once you see that you can follow your rules even when it's uncomfortable, even when fear tempts you to abandon them, your confidence grows exponentially. This is not arrogance, it is quiet, steady self-assurance. You begin to trust your judgment, not because you are always right, but because you know you can follow your plan faithfully, no matter what. And that trust allows you to make better decisions, reduce emotional mistakes, and navigate the market with clarity. I also want to address the temptation of shortcuts. In trading, there's always a new tool, a new indicator, a new secret that promises faster success. Early in my journey, I fell for these traps repeatedly. But commitment teaches patience. Consistency teaches results. Together, they make shortcuts irrelevant. You begin to understand that the slow, disciplined path is not boring, it is powerful. It is reliable. It is what separates real traders from dreamers. Over the years, I have seen countless traders fail because they lacked commitment and consistency. They chase every idea, follow every trend, and abandon every plan. They experience short bursts of excitement, maybe a lucky trade or two, but ultimately they fail. Meanwhile, those who commit to one strategy, follow it diligently, and remain consistent even through losses slowly build mastery. They develop intuition, confidence, and resilience. They reach levels of performance that others can only dream about. Here's a personal reflection. There were times I wanted to abandon my system entirely. I remember a streak of losses that lasted longer than any I had experienced before. My account was shrinking. My heart raced every time I opened my platform. I could feel the pressure building. Friends and online forums were telling me to switch strategies to chase quick wins. But I refused. I reminded myself that commitment and consistency would win over time. I held my ground, and weeks later, my trades began to recover, then thrive. My account began to grow steadily, and the lessons I learned during that losing streak were invaluable. That's the power of commitment and consistency. They allow you to endure hardship, trust process over outcome, and build results that are sustainable and reliable. It's not glamorous, it's not dramatic, but it works. And the beauty is once you embrace it, everything changes. The market stops being a chaotic, unpredictable force and becomes a structured environment where your disciplined actions produce measurable results. I want you to take this message seriously. Commitment is emotional, consistency is practical. Together, they are unstoppable. Pick a strategy that resonates with you. Commit to it fully, mentally, emotionally, and financially. Execute it consistently, trade after trade, day after day, even when it's uncomfortable, even when fear whispers in your ear. Over time, those small, disciplined actions compound into real success. They transform you from a reactive trader into a confident, controlled, and masterful one. Finally, remember this: trading isn't about winning every trade. It's about showing up, following your rules, and executing your plan with unwavering commitment. The results will follow, not immediately, but inevitably. Patience is key, discipline is key, and consistency is your bridge to mastery. So, as you leave this keynote, remember: commit to your strategy fully, execute it consistently, trust the process, ignore distractions. And over time, the market will reward your discipline more than any shortcut ever could. Because the traders who endure, who thrive, who truly succeed, are not the ones chasing instant brilliance. They are the ones who commit, and they never waver. If we've learned anything so far, it's that chasing every idea is dangerous, and that commitment and consistency are the cornerstones of trading success. But there's a deeper layer to all of this, a truth most traders overlook until it's too late. Your mindset is not separate from your strategy, it is part of your strategy. The way you think, feel, and react can make or break even the most flawless trading system. I learned this lesson the hard way. Early in my career, I had a strategy I believed in. I had tested it, written down the rules, and committed to following it consistently. On paper, it was perfect. In reality, I couldn't execute it properly because my emotions were constantly interfering. Fear, greed, impatience, and doubt were like invisible hands, pulling me away from my plan. I'd see a trade setup that perfectly matched my rules, and yet my mind would scream, "What? Maybe this isn't right. Maybe the market is tricking you." And often, I'd hesitate, or worse, make impulsive decisions that violated everything I had learned. It was in those moments I realized a strategy without the right mindset is useless. You can have the best system in the world, but if your mind isn't trained to follow it calmly and rationally, you'll fail. Every loss will feel catastrophic. Every gain will feel fleeting. Every decision will be second-guessed. Let me take you back to a moment that changed my entire perspective. I had been following my strategy for months, committing to it, executing consistently. Then, one afternoon, the market turned volatile, extremely volatile. My trades started moving against me. Panic rose in my chest. My mind raced. What if I lose everything? What if this strategy isn't working anymore? I felt the same fear I had faced years ago when I jumped between strategies. But this time it was different. I took a deep breath and remembered my training. I reminded myself that my mindset was part of my strategy. I could not let fear dictate my actions. I stepped back, analyzed the charts calmly, and executed my trades according to my rules. Every action was deliberate. Every decision was measured. And when I looked at the end of the day, I realized something profound. I had survived the storm not because my strategy changed, but because my mind did. Mindset in trading is about emotional mastery. It's about recognizing that fear, greed, and doubt will always be present, but they do not have to control you. It's about creating mental systems that reinforce discipline, patience, and rational decision-making. When your mind is trained, you no longer react to the market, you respond. You make decisions based on logic, not emotion. You follow your rules without hesitation. And that is the real power behind any trading system. I want you to visualize this. Imagine two traders facing the same market conditions. Trader A has a flawless strategy, but reacts emotionally to every movement. Trader B has the same strategy, but has trained their mind to remain calm, focused, and disciplined. Who do you think will succeed? The answer is obvious. Mindset amplifies strategy. Without it, even the best rules will fail you at the worst moments. I've spent countless nights reflecting on my own mistakes, trying to understand why I failed even when my strategy was sound. And I realized that every time I made an impulsive decision, Every time I abandoned my plan in fear, it was because my mindset wasn't aligned with my strategy. I had to train my mind as rigorously as I had trained my charts. I had to develop emotional resilience, self-awareness, and mental clarity. Here's one practical method that helped me immensely: visualization. Before the market opens each day, I visualize myself executing my trades according to my rules, no matter what happens. I imagine losses coming and me staying calm. I imagine profits coming and me staying disciplined. I imagine the market being volatile, confusing, and even unfair, and yet me following my plan with unwavering focus. This mental rehearsal built a neural pathway that allowed me to execute without hesitation, even under extreme stress. Another critical component is acceptance. Trading is inherently uncertain. You will lose trades, you will face setbacks, you will encounter conditions you didn't anticipate. Accepting this reality is part of mindset training. When you accept losses as a natural part of the process, fear loses its grip. When you accept uncertainty as part of the game, your decisions become rational and measured rather than reactive and emotional. Let me tell you about a specific trade that tested my mindset. It was during a highly volatile week, and the market was swinging wildly. My strategy signaled a trade that fit perfectly with my rules. My heart raced. Every fiber of my being screamed to hesitate, to close the position early, to avoid risk. But I had trained my mind. I reminded myself this is not a test of luck, this is a test of discipline. I held the trade. I followed my rules. And when the market settled, the trade hit its target. The satisfaction wasn't just in the profit, it was in the fact that my mind had followed the strategy without wavering. That was a victory worth far more than money. Mindset also teaches humility. In trading, the market will humble you repeatedly. The moment you believe you are infallible, the market will show you otherwise. By training your mind to stay humble, to remain objective, and to focus on process rather than outcome, you build a mental armor that protects you from emotional disasters. I've seen brilliant traders lose everything because their ego dictated their trades. I've also seen modest traders achieve long-term success because their mindset kept them grounded and disciplined. I want to emphasize another point: mindset is built through experience, reflection, and deliberate practice. It's not something you can learn overnight. You develop it by analyzing your mistakes without judgment, by reviewing your trades with honesty, and by confronting your emotions head-on. Every time you face fear and act in alignment with your strategy, your mindset strengthens. Every time you control greed and stick to your rules, your mindset evolves. There's also a deep psychological aspect to consider. Your brain craves certainty, but trading thrives on uncertainty. This conflict is why mindset is critical. The market will never be fully predictable. It will always challenge your emotions. By developing a mindset that embraces uncertainty, that sees every trade as a learning opportunity rather than a personal test of worth, you gain a massive advantage over other traders. You become calm in chaos, steady in storms, and rational when others panic. I remember the first time I fully internalized this. I had been following my strategy for months, committed and consistent, yet a particularly unexpected market move wiped out a significant portion of my profits. In the past, this would have triggered panic, revenge trading, or abandonment of the system. But this time, I paused. I analyzed objectively. I reminded myself that losses are part of the journey. I followed my plan. And over the following weeks, my account recovered, not magically, but because my mindset allowed me to act rationally and consistently. That experience transformed me. Here's the truth: traders often blame the market, strategies, or even luck for failures. But the real differentiator between success and failure is mindset. It's the ability to stay grounded, focused, and disciplined when every instinct urges you to panic, chase, or quit. Your strategy is your map, but your mindset is the compass. Without it, you will lose your way. With it, you can navigate any market condition, any volatility, and any setback. Mindset is also about self-trust. You need to believe in your rules, in your preparation, and in your judgment. Self-trust doesn't mean overconfidence. It means confidence grounded in experience, practice, and disciplined action. Every time you execute your plan successfully, even under stress, you reinforce this trust. Every time you resist emotional impulses, you grow stronger. And over time, this trust becomes unshakable, allowing you to act decisively, even when the market is chaotic. Finally, I want to stress this: mindset is a lifelong journey. You never fully arrive. There will always be new challenges, new market conditions, and new emotional tests. But by committing to mindset training alongside strategy, by embracing emotional mastery as part of your process, you build resilience, clarity, and power that few traders ever achieve. So, as you leave this keynote, remember, your strategy is only as strong as your mind. Your mindset is part of your strategy. Train it, master it, trust it, use it to navigate fear, greed, and uncertainty. And when you do, you become a trader capable of handling anything the market throws at you. Because the truth is simple: a disciplined mind turns a good strategy into greatness. A weak mind turns a perfect system into chaos. Your success begins where your mindset meets your strategy, and from there, everything is possible. We've covered chasing every idea, the power of commitment and consistency, and the crucial role of mindset. Now, we arrive at the final, and perhaps the most important, keynote: trust, patience, and long-term vision. Because even with a strategy, commitment, and mindset, success in trading does not happen overnight. It is a slow, steady process, and the ability to trust the process, remain patient, and maintain a long-term perspective separates successful traders from those who give up too soon. Let me share a story. After months of building my strategy, committing to it, and developing my mindset, I had reached a point where my trading results were steady, but not spectacular. Some days my trades would hit their targets. Other days they would go against me. Sometimes my account barely moved at all. I began to feel restless. I thought, I've been disciplined for months, followed my plan, and yet I'm not seeing huge profits. Maybe I should do something different. This is where the real test came in, the test of trust and patience. I had two choices: abandon the system, chase something flashier, and risk repeating old mistakes, or continue following the plan, trusting that the long-term results would come. I chose the latter. Weeks turned into months. The market fluctuated. Some trades went perfectly, others did not. There were moments of doubt, moments of fear, moments when it felt like I was moving in circles. But I kept reminding myself that trading is not a sprint, it's a marathon. Success is not about a single trade or even a single month. It is about steady, consistent execution over time. And slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, my results began to compound. The small wins, repeated consistently, started to add up. My account grew steadily, even if not dramatically. My confidence grew, not because of instant success, but because I had proven to myself that I could trust the process, remain patient, and focus on the long term. Patience in trading is more than just waiting for trades. It is about waiting for the right trades. It is about resisting the urge to force action, chase opportunities, or overtrade out of boredom or fear. In my early days, I constantly feared missing out. I chased setups that weren't part of my strategy. I let impatience dictate my decisions. And it always ended the same way: losses, frustration, and self-doubt. Learning patience is not easy. The market constantly tests it. Volatility tempts you. Other traders brag about big wins and instant riches, making you feel left behind. But the truth is, long-term success favors patience. Every trade you take in alignment with your rules builds cumulative advantage. Every trade you skip because it doesn't meet your criteria preserves capital. Every loss you endure without abandoning your plan strengthens discipline. Patience is the silent engine behind every successful trading journey. Trust is the other crucial element. Trust in your strategy, trust in your preparation, and trust in the process itself. When I first started, I struggled with trust. I questioned every signal, every setup, every rule. Fear whispered constantly, maybe you're wrong, maybe this won't work. I learned that without trust, fear will always dominate. Trust allows you to act decisively, even in uncertainty. It allows you to follow your rules calmly when the market is chaotic. It allows you to treat losses as temporary setbacks rather than catastrophic failures. There's a moment that illustrates this perfectly. One week, the market moved sharply against my positions. My trades were deep in negative territory. Panic would have been the natural reaction. Many traders I knew would have exited immediately, perhaps abandoning their system entirely. But I had developed trust. I reminded myself that my strategy was designed to perform over time. I held the trades, I let the process play out. By the end of the week, the positions recovered and hit their targets. The lesson was profound: trust allows patience to function, and patience allows results to accumulate. Long-term vision ties trust and patience together. Too many traders focus on the short term: the next trade, the next day, the next week. They measure success by instant gratification, not by cumulative progress. Trading is a process, not a performance review. A long-term perspective changes everything. It allows you to see losses as temporary, gains as part of a bigger picture, and the market as a teacher rather than an adversary. I want to share an image that changed how I view trading. Think of your trading journey as planting a forest rather than picking fruit from a single tree. When you plant seeds, you don't expect instant harvest. You water them consistently. You protect them from storms. You wait patiently while they grow, sometimes hidden from view. Seasons come and go, but eventually the forest flourishes. That is how trading works. Your strategy, your commitment, and your mindset are the seeds. Trust and patience are the water and sunlight. Long-term vision is the understanding that growth takes time. There were many times I was tested. I remember a particularly long losing streak, perhaps the worst in my career at that point. My account was down significantly, and every instinct screamed to abandon my system. Friends and forums were full of better strategies, foolproof setups, and get-rich quick ideas. It would have been easy to give in. But I remembered the forest. I reminded myself that trading is about long-term growth, not instant gratification. I stayed the course. Weeks later, the account recovered, then grew steadily. The long-term vision had carried me through the storm. Trust, patience, and long-term vision also protect you emotionally. Without them, every loss feels catastrophic, every drawdown feels permanent, and every setback feels personal. With them, losses become temporary, drawdowns become manageable, and setbacks become lessons. You learn to separate your self-worth from the results of any single trade. You learn to see the process as the true measure of success. I also want to emphasize the compounding effect of time. Small advantages, repeated consistently over months and years, lead to enormous results. A single trade executed perfectly is insignificant. 10 trades in a week are impressive, but still limited. Hundreds of trades executed over years, with discipline and emotional control, are transformative. Patience allows time to work its magic. Trust allows you to hold your position through volatility. Long-term vision ensures you don't lose perspective when short-term results fluctuate. Another important lesson: markets are cyclical, unpredictable, and sometimes cruel. Without patience, you will react impulsively. Without trust, you will abandon good strategies. Without long-term vision, you will measure success in the wrong way. The combination of these three, trust, patience, and vision, is what allows you to thrive even when the market tests you repeatedly. I want to give you a personal reflection. After years of disciplined trading, I look back on my journey and see patterns I couldn't see before. I see the trades I almost gave up on. I see the moments when fear whispered in my ear. I see the times when impatience threatened to destroy months of work. And yet, because I trusted the process, remained patient, and kept my eyes on the long-term prize, I am here today. My results are not spectacular overnight successes. They are the steady, reliable outcomes of years of disciplined action. And the emotional rewards are just as valuable: confidence, clarity, calmness, and resilience. Finally, I want to leave you with this: trading is not a game of luck or genius. It is a game of discipline, patience, and vision. Trust your strategy. Have patience with the process. Keep your eyes on the long-term prize. Celebrate small wins, learn from losses, and continue executing consistently. Over time, the results will compound, your confidence will grow, and you will become a trader capable of weathering any storm. Because the truth is simple: trust and patience allow your strategy and mindset to flourish. Long-term vision transforms disciplined actions into lasting success. If you embrace these three principles, you are no longer just a trader, you are a master of your craft, navigating the market with calm, clarity, and confidence, no matter what the charts show. Remember, markets will always test you. Emotions will always challenge you. Uncertainty will always surround you. But with trust, patience, and long-term vision, you gain control. You create results that are sustainable, reliable, and deeply rewarding. And that is the ultimate power of disciplined trading.